Oh, okay. All negative thought, all wayward frequency, all chaotic energy extinguished from that last set that I just did. Most, if not all, frustration, anxiety, tumult, internal tumult, despair, most worry, neurosis, psychological hang-ups, most insecurity, most fears and doubts. Again, if not all of them, stem from, and this is internally generated. I don't mean, let's clarify. I do not mean all of those emotional states I just mentioned, all of those feelings that I just identified. That are created internally, not externally. So when I say fear or worry or doubt or frustration or anxiety, I'm talking about internal strife. The type of negative emotions that we feel due to our internal positioning. Not from a threat externally. So there are no doubt going to be instances where you despair and sorrow or have fear and anxiety because of external issues and pressures that are real, not imagined, but real. They could also be imagined, but certainly I am not speaking to the legitimate and genuine fears that one might have of a pending disaster, or an actual disaster that's taking place, or the despair or depression or sorrow caused by tragedy and loss, real tragedy and loss. I am talking about the majority of all anxieties, worries, fears, concerns, neurosis, these negative emotions that we feel, for the most part, most of them are generated internally through internal strife. And they're due to a misalignment, an incongruency. They're due to a number of things not lining up together. So our despair, our anxiousness, our neuroses, our doubts, our concerns, a lot of our fears, a lot of this stuff stems from the fact that our thoughts and our words and our actions are all out of sync. Typically, we're thinking one thing, we're generating thoughts, and the thoughts that we're thinking are not truly being expressed by the words that we're using, and the thoughts that we're thinking and the words that we're speaking are many times not being put into action, our actions turn out to be incongruent many times with our words. We say we're going to do something. We say we believe something. We say we're convicted of something. We say we're true to something. We say, we declare, we make promises, we make resolutions, but our actions don't execute on those things. Our actions are not dedicated to those resolutions that we've made many, many, many times. And then there's the thoughts that we're thinking. We think one thing, but we say another. We believe one thing, but for some reason we don't stay true to our beliefs with our words. And then again, even if our words match our thoughts, we don't take action on them. We don't follow through. We don't move in that direction. We don't take that path. And most of the time, this is because we are crafting, conniving, we are devising, we are clawing, scratching, and cannibalizing. We are looking to conquer and claim dominion over our fellow man and over this earth. And so in doing so, we harbor certain thoughts. And those thoughts are our base motivations, our most base, our most animalistic, are based on our most animalistic desires. We want riches, we want wealth, we want comfort, we want luxury, we want to satisfy our indulgences. We want to be hedonistic, we want to be pleasure-seeking, we want to be gluttonous. We want. And we want more of everything. We want so much. The thirst is unquenchable. We cannot sate that hunger that we have to glom everything, to grab everything, to put our arms around everything and claim it's ours, it's mine, it's not yours. And so greed, envy, and jealousy rule our thoughts, and so our thoughts become plots and plans. And then our words completely run counter to those secret ideas that we have, because we're not going to boast to people about these things. We're not going to claim that's what we want, because again, we're being clever and crafty and we're devising ways to obtain those things. And so a lot of the time we keep our plans, our plots, and our thoughts and our contrivances secret only within ourselves. It's this thing I've spoken about before. In many cultures, in some cultures they call it the three hearts or the three masks, right? What are the three hearts? You have a heart that the outside world sees. You have a heart that your family and friends see, and then you have a secret heart that only you know. Same thing with the three faces or the three masks, right? We have one face or one mask for the world at large, for the public. Then we have one face or one mask for our closest relationships. And then we have one face, one mask that only we see when we look in the mirror. And that right there speaks to the constant incongruent battle we have. The battle between what we think, what we say, and what we do. This is a form of schizophrenia, right? And I don't mean the clinical diagnosis of schizophrenia. It's just all of this, all of these different masks or faces or hearts that we inhabit, and the way we proclaim ourselves and the way we actually act, they're all so unmatched with each other, that eventually, it forms neuroses. It forms mental illness. It forms negative outcomes. It forms worry, distraction, deceit, despair. It forms anger and hatred. All these negative feelings and emotions are a result of this incongruence. And then if we dial it back all the way again to the thoughts from which we believe everything stems, maybe those thoughts aren't born of jealousy, anger, hatred, and envy. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're not fueled by cannibalism, contrivances, scratching, clawing, power-mad thirst and hunger for dominion over all things. Maybe it's not. Maybe our thoughts are good. Maybe our thoughts are filled of hope and love and positive energy and positive thoughts and wholesomeness and good. Maybe those are our thoughts. And maybe even our words are congruent with that. Maybe we speak positive words, positive language. Maybe we don't complain. Maybe we don't gossip. Maybe we don't use foul language. Maybe we don't talk down to people. Maybe we don't use, maybe we don't take on the words of anger and hatred and fear. Maybe our words are congruent with good thoughts. But then our actions fail us because we don't follow through. We don't dedicate ourselves. We don't move in the direction that we've been thinking or saying. And our actions are negative. Our actions are vapid. Our actions are counterproductive. Our actions only exist in the temporary and ephemeral satisfaction of, again, these deep-seated longings and cravings that we have, that we somehow can't control. That even though we haven't been, for the most part, 90% of our thoughts have been positive, 90% of our words have been positive, yet our actions are in service to debasement, depravity, defilement, and decadence. We're human. This is who we are. Fallible, imperfection-ridden, and mistake-making humans. None of us are perfect. But I think that the issue with this constant misalignment stems from the fact that we believe everything stems from thought. And that in this chain, it all begins with the mind. It all begins with our conscious ideas, concepts, and imagination. And that's the mistake that we're making. Because that is not where this chain of events, this chain reaction begins. And this is the root of what ultimately plays out. This is the root. And this is where we have to nurture ourselves. This is where we have to nourish ourselves. And this is where we have to get things right for the others to follow. Because it's hard enough to get all in alignment. Think of your own lives. You know this to be true. I know this to be true. But the mistake we're making is that it does not begin with our thoughts. It begins a layer deeper. It begins with our hearts. This is where it all springs from. Everything, all thought, springs from what's in our heart, what's in our soul. This is where things begin. And so, if our hearts are corrupted, if our hearts are fouled, if our hearts are filled with decadence and depravity and hatred and sin and evil, so too will be our thoughts. Our words may be, but our words often disguise our thoughts. We're playing a role. We don't let the world at large see that oftentimes. Sometimes we do. There are a lot of people who can't control this. And the world sees their hatred, sees their pain manifesting, sees the horror and the terror that they're experiencing internally, and their words express it. Their words express the worst of who they are. And then, of course, the actions align with that as well sometimes. So there are many times where all are in alignment. The heart is filled with hatred and evil and sin and corruption and decadence and immorality. The thoughts are such that the thoughts are evil and dark and depraved. The actions, the words that are used are the foulest of words, the most angry of words, the most hateful of words. The actions are executing on all of it. The actions are destructive. The actions are filled with malevolence. So sometimes there's alignment on that. But again, a lot of times those who are not sociopathic and have impulse control, their hearts are dark, their thoughts are evil, but they approach you in the most positive of manners, with the most mellifluent, beautiful speech and motivational words, such that you cannot tell who they really are, what they really think, or what's truly in their hearts. And their actions certainly follow through with the persuasive, beautiful, encouraging words that they're using, right? The Pied Piper-like song that they're singing. It's only disguising their true intent. And this is where you have to be very careful of people like that. People that are psychopaths, not sociopaths, right? So the psychopaths have the sociopathic mindset, but they have impulse control such that they can disguise it and masquerade it. The sociopaths act out, lash out. They can't help themselves. They have no impulse control. The psychopaths, the true evil amongst us, they have impulse control. They can guard their words and their actions and disguise them in a way that you will never know. And they will lead you down a path that seems righteous, that seems good, that seems to be serving you in some positive way, but is ultimately tearing you to pieces and destroying you, because they're demons that gain pleasure, hedonistic pleasure, from your ultimate destruction, from seeing you wither away in misery, because misery, which they truly are, again, you can't see it, you can't see their dark, miserable hearts, nor their dark, horrific thoughts. You only hear their words and see their actions, which appear to be true and righteous and good. But they serve a horrific master. They're Luciferian and led by Hashatan. So those are the people you really have to be careful of. And again, they come to you in the most beautiful, tempting of forms. But let's talk about us, right? Let's not talk about the psychopaths and what they're capable of. Let's talk about us and how to live our lives free of worry, doubt, frustration, and all of these negative vibrations that seem to permeate throughout our life, such that we lose control. Let us get in alignment. And to do that, we must understand that it begins with our heart. So how do we get our hearts right? How do we get our souls right? Yahushua HaMashiach takes care of that. When our hearts live by the simple commandment of loving Yahuwah with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, when we love Him with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, we love our neighbors, we love ourselves. We do that because we have confessed our evil selves, our truest, evil, most dark thoughts, words, sins, and actions to Yahuwah Yahusha, and in all humility and humbleness we've come to him for forgiveness, because we can no longer stand who we were, such that we want to be reborn. We want to be refreshed, renewed, and revised in his image, once again as we were when we were placed in paradise, before we were led astray by the serpent, before we were led astray by the serpent, and then cast out away from the Father and forced to wander this earth, set apart from the Father until his covenants came and he guided us and showed us a way back into his good graces. And then in the new covenant, where the law, the word, was no longer written on stone such that it perishes and only reveals corruption and evil and sin and penance, such that the new law, the new covenant, is written on our minds and our hearts. And in so living in Hamashiach and asking for his salvation and believing in him, through him having everlasting life, the everlasting law written on our hearts now, that preserves the covenant, speaks to the new covenant, which is no longer perishing, fading on stone, revealing sin and evil and death and corruption and penance. No, now it reveals forgiveness, everlasting life. The old traditions of man perish, reveal the worst of us, and punish the worst of us. They are for that word, that law is for the unbelievers, it's for the unfaithful. That's who needs that law. But those of us who are righteous, sanctified in Yahushua HaMashiach, the faithful, who love Yahuwah with all of our hearts, souls, minds, and strength, and love our fellow man as we love ourselves, nurture ourselves so we can nurture our fellow man, in that we have everlasting life, everlasting forgiveness. We have his healing, his love, his salvation, his redemption. And as such, that law that's for the believers is written on our hearts, because it lasts forever, because we live forever, because we have everlasting life. Our hearts have everlasting life. Our souls have everlasting life. And so that heart, which is anchored to the hope in Yahushua HaMashiach, who has transcended beyond the veil, behind the veil, in his presence, and as the ultimate sacrifice for our sin, gave himself, so that once and forever we are forgiven, and that once and forever we are now in the presence, in Hamashiach, in the Messiah, we are in the presence, behind the veil, in heaven, for he is in heaven. Yahusha is in heaven, on the right side of the throne of the power, and he intercedes for us, and so we have everlasting life and truly know the Father, and we are in the presence of the Father, in the presence of Yahuwah, the Most High, forever. We know him. When we live in Hamashiach, when our hearts are in Hamashiach. And when our hearts are in Hamashiach, we have that commandment. Love Yahuwah with all of our hearts, souls, minds, and strength. Love our fellow men as we love ourselves. And in so doing, from that all good things spring. It is the well from which all positive energy, healing, love, good thoughts, productive thoughts, wholesome thoughts spring from this well. And so now our thoughts are right, because we are guided by the Ruach. The Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart spirit, lives within us and guides us on that path, keeps us on the straight, true, and narrow, to the narrow gate, to the kingdom of Yahuwah, the kingdom to come, that he will establish, that Yahusha will establish on this earth and reign. His will will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And all evil, sin, corruption, all demons of this world, haters, detractors, second vampires, negative influencers, all the corruptors, evildoers, misleaders, and deceivers, Lucifer, Satan, Hashatan, the devil, crushed beneath his feet. All war and misery, pain and suffering, illness, sickness, all sorrow, all misery, all disease, all murder, all death, all hatred, all sadness, all evil and sin, extinguished, evaporated, dissolved. Paradise on earth, Eden once again, as we are born anew and created, and once again we are placed in Eden, New Eden, the kingdom to come, where he lives among us once again, and his earthly kingdom is established, and the resurrection has come, and we live forever in his presence, in his presence. And the covenant is fulfilled, and the promise is fulfilled. Everlasting life, free of sin and all of its effects on us, that we cannot help but suffer from in this life, in this mirage, in this hallucination, in this false reality. But there, in the kingdom to come, extinguished, no more sin and evil and the effects of the serpent's bite and its poison and its toxicity that flows through our veins. No more. We are cleansed. We are purified. We are sanctified. Our hearts are righteous and true. So there is everlasting life, freedom from death, freedom from sin and its ill effects, and freedom from pain and suffering. And so with our hearts righteous, and from that wellspring of the commandment, love Yahuwah with all of our hearts, souls, minds, and strength, love our fellow men as we love ourselves, all good thought is created. All positive thoughts erupt. All wholesome and productive and wonderful thinking, concepts and ideas blossom in our minds. And then, it is on us, it is our responsibility to speak those righteous words. And it's hard not to, because our cup runneth over. We have in Yahusha, we have received more than we could have ever asked, such that our hearts overflow, our cup overflows, and we have to share the good news. And all has been revealed. All of the questions we've asked our whole lives, what does it all mean? What is our purpose? What is life all about? All of those questions that vexed us are answered. We understand. We comprehend. And we nourish ourselves daily with the word. And now we talk about our words being congruent with our thoughts and our heart. Now we really have to understand, how powerful the word is. Just think about this. When we talk about the word and words being so important. So the heart is the fount of which all good thought comes from. The heart in Hamashiach. And all of the productive, wholesome thoughts that we have. And then the word, the words that we use. How important are the words? Think about it. Just think about the word, and how that's described. How everything stems from the word. In the beginning, there was the Word. And the Word was with Elohim, the Most High, Yahuwah. And the Word was the Most High, the Supreme Elohim. It was Yahuwah. And the Word was made flesh. Yahuwah was made flesh. And the Word made flesh, Yahuwah, manifested in the flesh as Yahusha HaMashiach. Yahuwah, the Most High who breathes life, the Most High who saves. This is the meaning of Yahuwah, the Most High who brings into existence, manifests in the flesh, in the form of a man, Yahusha, the Messiah. Yahusha, the Most High who saves. That's what the name means. Yahusha, the Most High who delivers, the Most High who redeems. The Word, how powerful is that, the Word? And so we have to take care, because we have the heart in Hamashiach, the positive energy, the healing, loving thoughts, the productive, wholesome concepts and ideas are coming forth. And so we want to express ourselves using positive words and not fall into the dominion of this world. Because as we're in this world, and we're no longer of this world, but while we're in this world, it's a test and it's easy to be led astray. And our words give us away, and sometimes our words fail us. And we fall again, we're all imperfect, so we'll fall to those base depraved, decadent words, language, things like speaking out of anger, speaking hatefulness, speaking venom, spewing poison and toxic words into the ether, complaining, whining, moaning, speaking gossip, slander. All of these things, these are the things we have to guard from. We have to speak true of our heart and our positive thoughts in alignment. And then our actions, like our words, have to match. We have to stay true to what is in our heart and our thoughts, our words, and then we have to carry through. We have to follow through. We have to follow through on that commandment. Love him with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength. Right? And a lot of that, when we love Yahuwah with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, what are we doing? We're following Yahuwah's commandments. And Yahuwah's commandments are clear. A lot of his commandments, and we call them the 10 Commandments, a lot of his 10 Commandments are what not to do. A lot of it is what not to do. So there are actions we shouldn't be taking, and there are actions we should be taking. But if we love Yahuwah with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, then we're going to live according to his commandments. How can we not? We love him with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, such that there is no other way. We cannot conceive of any other way. We are drawn and we are compelled to live that way. And then we love our fellow man as we love ourselves. Again, in so doing, we're speaking the right words, because our heart in Hamashiach, in Messiah, is speaking to us such that that wellspring from that commandment, all positive, healing, loving thoughts, ideals, concepts are springing forth from that well in our mind with that positive energy, positive frequency, positive thought. And in so doing, we are following through with the words, with loving, encouraging, motivating, inspiring words that build people up, that build our fellow man up. And then we're loving our fellow man as we love ourselves. We're nurturing ourselves like we nurture our fellow man. So our actions are positive, right? Our actions are positive for ourselves, and as such can be positive for our fellow man. Our words are positive for ourselves, such that they can be positive for our fellow man. We strengthen ourselves. We work to keep ourselves healthy and strong and fit and disciplined, so that we can live as an example and encourage and inspire and motivate our fellow man, and live as an example for our people, for our fellow man. And so but it all springs from the heart. And the way to armor the heart is to have the Ruach HaKodesh living within inside us. And as so, in coming to Yahushua HaMashiach, in all confession over all of our evil and asking for his salvation and receiving his word and receiving his redemption, and then praying on how grateful we are every single day for his love, for his healing, for his grace, and then praying on our surrendering, completely surrendering to Yahushua HaMashiach, such that he lives within us. It lives within inside us. He fills us with the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, that guides us, that guides our words, that guides our actions, that keeps us on the path that is straight, true, and narrow, through the narrow gate of the kingdom to come. This is how we do it. And one of the most important things we can be doing to ensure that beyond our heart being filled with his love and his healing and his grace and his positive energy, that positive frequency, that positive transmission, and the commandment that all good, positive, nurturing thoughts stem from, right? Again, love Yahweh with all our hearts, souls, minds, and strength. Love our fellow men as we love ourselves. Nurture our fellow men as we nurture ourselves. To ensure that our words and our actions are correct, we have to nourish ourselves. So every single day, because I'm human, right? I want to make sure my thoughts are aligned with my heart. I want to make sure that my heart is filled with his love and his grace and his word, so that my thoughts continue to be prosperous, wholesome, productive, and so that my words manifest my thoughts, so that my words represent my thoughts, my positive thoughts, so that my words can carry my thoughts out, those positive thoughts and my positive heart out into the ether so that they affect myself and my people in the right manner, and then so that my actions are true to my words, true to my thoughts, and true to my heart. And so every day, every single day, I nourish my heart, my soul, and my spirit with the word of Yahushua HaMashiach, with the commandments, with the thoughts, the concepts, the ideas, the covenant, with the phrases, the parables, with the life of Yahushua HaMashiach. I nourish myself with the good news. I nourish myself with the teachings. It's there for all of us. We don't need guides, mentors, yogis, Sherpas. We don't need advisors. We don't need priests. We don't need rabbis. We don't need Pharisees, Sadducees, scribes, holy men, wise men, all of them. We don't need any of them. Some of them can be helpful, but for them, we don't need them. And you have to be so careful when you give yourself over to one of these Pharisees, or should I say one of these wise men or holy men or mentors or advisors or teachers or whatever you want to call them, because you don't know their intent. Unless you do the work, unless you nourish your own soul with the word that is there for all of us, such that we don't need any mentor, we don't need any teacher, we don't need any holy men. But unless you do the work, how will you ever know if the guidance that you're receiving from a man, from a fallible, imperfect, sinful, evil man, how will you know their heart is not corrupt? How will you know they're not inspired by evil? How will you know that they're not looking to lead you astray and into destruction for their own selfish, evil gain and hedonistic pleasure? Because misery loves company, and they want to profit off the spoils of your misery, because every time they destroy another human, the demons laugh, the demons rejoice. Whilst Yahushua HaMashiach sacrificed his life so we may live, they want us to sacrifice our lives to them, yoke ourselves to them, chain ourselves to them, so that we could be led astray and destroyed. So how will you know that what they're speaking is not false prophet, false proselytizing, false teachings, unless you yourself do the work and nourish your own heart and soul? And then you'll better be able to discern whether the words that you're getting from these magi and illusionists, the lying, hypocritical Pharisees, Sadducees, and scribes, which most of these wise men, holy men, and so-called teachers are, right? Then you'll be able to discern which, better discern. You won't have X-ray vision. You can't see into the heart of any man, really, but at least you'll be better armed to protect yourself against such evil. He's given us the word. He's given us the commandments. He's given us the new covenant. He's given us the teachings. All of us can go to it. The books are there for us to read, for us to nourish, and for us to heal ourselves with. And so we need to do the work. And in so doing, every morning I do this. Every morning I meditate, contemplate, and ruminate. I do it while I'm working out, while I'm exercising, because I'm in the zone, I'm in flow state. All negative thought, all wayward frequencies, all chaotic energy, it's expelled from me. And in that place, I can truly communicate, connect, and have those conversations with Yahusha and receive the epiphanies, the revelations, the instructions, and the blueprint. Don't need to pay anyone, don't need to follow anyone, don't need anyone to give those revelations to me. It's all there. He lives here. They're not the gateway to the Father. The only gateway to the Father is through the Son. It's through He who redeems, He who delivers. But in so nourishing ourselves every day with the Word, we can ensure that our heart stays true and strong. More so that our thoughts stay productive and wholesome, because when we're in Yahushua HaMashiach, when we're following the commandment, when we've been saved, and we continue to nourish our heart, and we continue to follow the commandment, we are living in Yahusha, and our heart is filled with His love. We're filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart Spirit, such that, again, we're guided on the path of this commandment, through which all good, productive concepts and ideas and ideals and principles spring. But it's like anything else. Don't take it for granted. Don't take your salvation for granted. Don't take his love for granted. Don't take your rebirth in his image for granted. Don't take it for granted. Take your time every day to ponder this, to pray on how grateful you are for this, to be cognizant of it daily, to nourish your heart, nourish your soul with the word, so that you can move through this test, through this challenge, so that you can be in this life and rise to the occasion and truly, truly, truly live that commandment. To love Yahuwah with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. To love and nurture your fellow man as you love yourself. Because that takes work. That's not a given. And the Ruach HaKodesh will guide us, will live within us, but we have to nurture that. We have to live that. We have to live that. We have to stay true to our faith. We don't have to do any special deeds. We don't have to do any special works. If we do them, then that's just a natural effect of living in Hamashiach. But it is not required for his salvation. It is not required for his love. It is not required for your redemption. There are no special works you need to do, no special deeds, no special actions that you have to take. You have to love him with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. You have to have faith in him. You have to believe in him. Through faith alone, you are saved. And through faith alone, you wear the armor that protects you as you walk this earth. You wear the helmet of salvation, and you are filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, which guides you along the path that has been brightened, enlightened, and shined upon, such that you know the way to the kingdom to come, that leads to the narrow gate that you will cross through if you live in Hamashiach. So I hope what I'm saying is resonating. We need to live in this alignment. We need to live in this congruence so that our life, while we're here, is such that we can stand up to the challenge, rise to the challenge, obliterate all negative energy as we move through this life and live as an example for our people and live in Hamashiach. It is so important, right? It is so important to have that alignment. And in so doing, we extinguish all negative frequencies, all chaotic thought, all evil from our presence. We destroy it. We obliterate it all. All jealousy, all anger, all hatred, all anxiety, all frustration, all depression, all of these internally generated thoughts, when we are out of alignment, when our words do not match our actions, when our actions do not match our words, when our actions do not match our thoughts, when our thoughts do not match our words, and when none of it matches our heart, because we have not yet come to a righteous heart, let alone a justified heart, let alone a sanctified heart in Yahushua HaMashiach. But in so doing and taking that journey with Yahusha, walking with Yahusha, asking him to come into your life and to save you and to lift you higher and to heal you and to have that faith and belief in him as our deliverer, as our savior, as the way, the truth, and the life, and to follow that commandment and to live it and to speak those words. Such that our actions are representative of the way, the truth, and the life. Of that commandment that we love Yahuwah with all our heart, souls, mind, and strength, and that we love our fellow man as we love ourselves. And in so doing, and I can only speak for myself, and I know others will speak to this. I know, because I'm connected through Yahusha. The children of Yahusha, the children of Yahuwah are all connected in his love and his energy. So I know there are those of you out there that feel like I, that know like I, that it is rare, if ever, that we question, that we're bereft, that we're longing, that we're thirsting. How could we? We drink of the water of life, his water, his living water, such that we never thirst. We eat of the bread of life, his bread, such that we hunger no longer. All things revealed, no longer questioning. All things received, no longer wanting, no longer hungering, no longer thirsting. All of that wayward thought, that wayward energy, all of that negativity extinguished. All the jealousy, the rage, the anger, the hatred, the evil, the sin, the depravity, the decadence, the defilement, the debasement, all of it, for the most part. Look, we're all human. We'll all make mistakes. We're all susceptible to being misled. But it is rare. And in the event where we do have a misstep, we're immediately compelled back on the path of righteousness, that is light, filled with his light, his brilliance. We can see it because the Ruach HaKodesh lives within us, such that his light doesn't just shine down on us and extinguish all darkness, extinguish all evil, because the darkness cannot comprehend it, such that when his light falls upon you, all darkness that you've been stumbling in your whole life is extinguished, because the darkness cannot fathom, the darkness cannot comprehend, and the darkness cannot overcome it. And it shines down on you, heals you, warms you, comforts you. And then the Ruach HaKodesh lives within you, and that light is like an infinite number of suns. The light is an infinite number of rays bursting forth, healing you from the inside out, bursting forth from you, such that others who are hopeless, in chaos, in despair and depression, wallowing in their addictions, looking for salvation, can see that if a wretch like me can be saved, then so can they. And so we live as that example for our people, because his light is shining through us, and they can see it. They see we're alive for the first time in our lives, that we are truly alive, that we are walking with Hamashiach. And so we act as a beacon for those who are lost, like a lighthouse to those lost ships at sea can finally find their way to land, find their way to Yahushua HaMashiach, find a way out of their misery. And then the light also shines and brightens the path, so we know the true, straight, uninterrupted way to kingdom come. So let us walk in unity. Together we cannot be divided. It's impossible. They cannot sow hatred among us. Together, children of Yahuwah Yahusha, we are strong and unstoppable as we march steadfast and true, ceaseless and relentless, unassailable, unconquerable, undefeatable, unstoppable, as we move and groove and speed like a freight train to kingdom come.